Today we're going to go over Chapter 7, which is the law of design. To maximize growth, you need to develop strategies. So this is from John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So if you have the PDF, we're going to start off on page 122. And as a reminder, I always use the acronym SOAP, SOAP. S stands for the study, the section, the statement if you're listening to a podcast or a lecture. So in this case, the section is Chapter 7. Always for observations, and that really is asking you to share between 1 and 3 observations that you made directly or indirectly from the material. Directly means I read the material, I read this line, I read this chapter, I read this word, sentence, and this is what it means to me. This is how it spoke to me. Or indirectly could be as a result of reading those things or listening to someone say something. It reminded me of something. I'm receiving intuition regarding a section that I'm reading. And so I always encourage people to share those because I believe it's the universe, it's God, it's the spirit, it's the field, the quantum field speaking to you, giving you a message that can be very helpful, and I would like for you to share those. A is for application, so ask yourself, how can I immediately apply this within the next 24 to 48 hours? This is a way to help you solidify the information, to convert it from short-term to long-term memory. And then P, we are lucky, we are blessed, we are so fortunate to be in the positions that we are in. They may not be ideal, but they can certainly be worse. And so I ask that you ask yourself, who else can I share this information with? Who can benefit from the lesson that I'm learning? And again, passing it forward is the P. And so he starts off with a quote by Jim Rohn, and I just love Jim Rohn and his material. So it says, if you don't design your own life, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. So that's true. People who do plan are planning their lives. They are living their life by design. And you're not part of that design. You may be used in their design, not necessarily a bad thing, but they're not planning for your success. They're planning for theirs. So you have to be intentional. Excuse me. You have to design your own life. So my first observation is on page 124. And so based on the material that I just read up above, talking about different life lessons, most people allow their lives to simply happen to them. They realized they should have been more proactive and strategic. So I wrote, again, kind of with the spirit of the section here, this is about you living a life of design, not you living a life by default. So I wrote, you have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional. You want to be focused. You want to have a goal. So you need to be goal oriented. And there are a lot of people out there who spend a lot more time planning their vacation, planning on the car they're going to buy, planning on the next phone that they buy, as opposed to planning their life. So spend at least as much time in planning your life, your career, what it is that you want to be, do, have, and give, as much as some people spend it on those other things that really will not add ultimate value to their life. So you want to be on purpose about your life. Zig Ziglar has a quote about being a wandering generality versus a meaningful specific. So you don't want to be a wandering generality. You do want to be a meaningful specific. So this is where you have to decide, what is my purpose? Now, I know many of you don't know your purpose yet. That's somewhat fine in terms of you find yourself in great company. There are a lot of people who don't know that, but you need to take a guess at it. So if you had to pick something, if you had to pick a direction, pick one and start moving in that direction. You'll soon realize it's not exactly where I want to go, but it is in the right direction, and you'll start refining that direction. You'll go from directionally correct to a path that's correct for you, but You need to make a decision. You need to pick a something that seems to be like the right purpose. So if you had to take a guess, so I'm asking you to guess, what do you think that purpose is? And take a guess and start moving in that direction. My second observation is on the next page, page 125. And so he's talking about designing your life is more important than designing your career. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Regret over not being proactive enough is a common theme among people looking back on their lives. I worked in emergency medicine for 25 years, so I either had the fortunate and unfortunate experience of seeing a lot of people die. A lot of people died in front of me, and I spent their last minutes on earth with them. So a lot of it was sad, and sometimes you can feel it was good in the right time for that person. But basically, one of the things that I took away from a lot of people is that they do have regret. So this section resonates with me in terms of my personal experience. And what I would say is that, and you've heard this before, a lot of people regret the things that they did not do. They wish things had been different. They wish that they can go back in time. And so I would ask them, if you had to give advice to your younger version or a younger person like me, what's the advice that they would give? And a lot of it pertained to relationships, taking risks that you should have, could have, loving people, caring for people, etc. Having goals was also there and something important for them. So what I wrote here, my observation is that either you should be pushing yourself or you should have somebody pushing you. So you should have the discipline of setting a goal and then setting a plan to move in the direction of your goal. If you're wondering whether you're going to fail or not, you can take that off the table, because you are going to fail. You are going to make mistakes. That's what every successful person has done. They have failed. They have made mistakes. So you're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes, but that's okay. You're going to learn and you're going to fail forward. So either have the discipline that you can push yourself, that you will set these goals and you're going to take steps and actions. If you lack the internal discipline, which happens, it's happened to me many, many times, then you need external discipline. And external discipline means that you should either get a coach or a mentor, hire a coach, so this is going to cost you some money, or hire a mentor, or maybe you can find someone who'll do it for free. I think there is a value in having a hired hand, but either way, the point is this: you need external accountability. You need somebody who you're going to share your goals with, and they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to push you. Now, I would caution you that this should not be a friend or somebody who's been critical, somebody who's not going to encourage you, someone who's not going to inspire you, someone who's not going to build you up. I would hire someone who is successful in that area that I want to grow, that I want to be further developed in. So somebody like that before I just ask anybody, because this person has been there, this person has a higher level of awareness than you do. So that's most likely the type of person that you should be looking at. So again, it does not have to be someone that you hire, but my personal opinion, it should be someone that you hire. And then my last observation is on page 126. And so he, again, applying the sections that I just read above, there's a quote here that says, "You only live once, but if you work it right, once is enough." That's true. It's unfortunately not true for most of us. We have a life of regrets. We have things that we can't change, things that we've said, things that we did, things that we didn't do that we should have done. So many of us cannot change that. But here's the takeaway. You may not be responsible for the things that have happened to you in the past. You may not be entirely responsible for the decisions that you made because you lacked the level of awareness back then. But from this moment forward, you are responsible. You're responsible for your decisions. You're responsible for your actions. You're responsible for the consequences of your actions or actions that you don't take. So my final observation note here is that you only die once, but you live every day. So you will die once. And then there's a quote by that I give credit to Mary Morrissey from. I'm not sure if she's the originator, but she says some people live 90 years while other people live 1 year 90 times. So the people who are living 1 year 90 times, as they're repeating day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, the same life, the same limitations, the same constraints. So you don't want to be that person. You want to, once again, set your goals. You want to be thinking about greatness, about growth, about expansion, about who you want to be. What do you want to do? What do you want to have? How much do you want to give, and who do you want to give it to? So this is the chapter on design, being intentional. So remember, this is by design, not by default. And so those are my takeaways. So now what do we do next? The next part is you will go around the room. You will share your 1 to 3 observations based on either the material that you read, direct or indirect. You can make observations based on my comments, my own observations. And as a final reminder, I ask that if you happen to be the last person in the group and it's your turn to speak and you sort of feel that what you would have said has already been covered, unless the people before you said it exactly the way you would have said it, use the same words you would have used, use the same tones and inflections in your voice that you would have used, if that's the case, go ahead and pass. Otherwise, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and say it your way, because you have a voice. Your voice matters. We want to hear your voice. And you may say something, you may say it in such a way, you might use a word that causes someone to think something that changes, has an impact on their life, or changes their career or personal trajectory in a positive way. So I hope this has been helpful. Have a great day.